Christy and I are in Oliver Lee National State Park, in New Mexico. And there's quite a hike here with about 4,000 feet of gain. Is that right? No, 3,000 feet of gain that goes straight up this canyon and walks around the back side of it, including some narrow ledges and stuff. So this will be one of my last training hikes, getting ready for the AT, but the steepness, and there's some ledge trails up there. Again, getting ready for New England, so I can handle that. All right, well, we'll get going. We'll be hiking this afternoon is the Dog Canyon Trail. Really interesting history up here. There was a guy named Frenchie who there's ruins of his cabin up here. He used to have a herd of cattle and was murdered mysteriously, and his murderers were never captured. But he was living up here back in the day. Anyway, it's steep and should have a lot of beautiful scenery. Yeah, so we're staying in the campground here in the park. Our trailer's right down there. Just came through the visitor center and we're headed up this way. Nice, steep, rocky. So after the first half mile, we top out on this mesa up here. And it's beautiful. You got views of the cliffs above, but you can see how people could have had cattle up here easily. Interesting. We're getting way up in the canyon now. What's really interesting is there are these caves. There's one up there, and there's one over there. Looks like you could get in and shelter if you had to. And after another bit of steep climbing, we're up to this beautiful mesa up here. These big rocks that have fallen off the cliff, juniper trees. It's beautiful. So somewhere up here around the halfway point is supposed to be the cabin. Looking forward to seeing it. It's such an unusual place to be up the canyon here, be this flat, this much grass, and a huge colony of cholla is just covering everything. Beautiful. Down there is are the ruins of Frenchie's cabin. Can you imagine living in this canyon? Having your cattle up there in the flat spot? Wow. Yeah, so we're down in the actual canyon in the wash. And there's still standing water down here. So right by the cabin, this would have been a decent water supply. And this giant alligator bark juniper. Beautiful. Okay, now we're up here. So you see the flat grassland over there with the big rock in it. That's that grass field with the cholla and the junipers that we came through. And then the trail dropped down the side of the canyon there. And the cabin's down there in the bottom. And then we started switchbacking up and came up this way. And now we're significantly up. And from what I understand, we got a ledge walk ahead. Let's see how exciting that is. Beautiful. It's steep. And we're way up here. Whee! See the verticality here. We climbed along the cliff edge here, coming up. And then I'm gonna try to turn around here because the trail is narrow. And then we gotta go back up that way. It's pretty steep. I guess we're gonna get up there to the top. And that's probably where the fire road is up there. But we're up here. We're at the base of the cliff now. Here at this little flat spot. I guess we're gonna climb up there. And I'm guessing going around the corner. But it's been quite a climb. Well, some previous hikers said they saw elk activity up here, and this certainly looks like elk scat. So maybe they're up here somewhere. Well, we've turned up one of the feeder canyons, and it's again a different environment. Grass, yucca. There's a couple of alligator bark junipers, also some fir here. But yeah, this looks like good elk territory. All right, we're at mile 4.2, so we got about a mile to go. And we're at about 6,900 feet. So got another 600 feet or so to climb up, and then we'll be at the top and have some lunch. After all that hard climbing, to have a walk through this kind of gorgeous flat forest with juniper and fir and cactus colonies and boulders, a really neat white hawk with black tips on its wings. It's a real reward. It's really worth the climb to get up here. Yeah, so I'm up about 7,540 feet, which is about 1,000 feet higher than anything on the AT. And the climbing today, it took me 3.5 hours to get up here. It's not horrible for 5.5 miles, but you would expect to do a little bit better. So that shows how steep the climbing was. And I did stop and take a lot of pictures because it's gorgeous. It's like I said, it's up here. I made it to the fire road. It's a little depressing and burn zoney here, so I'm going to head down to that big field with the boulders and the junipers and have a meal there. I called Christy and let her know I'll be home in time for dinner, but I can't promise much else. Okay, well, I finished lunch and headed back down the mountain after a little climb back up. Don't expect to be taking as much video or pictures on the way down. unless I get a perspective that's very, very different than what I got on the way up. There's a lot of loose rocks, a lot of loose dirt, and it's really steep. So imagine I'll be fully focused on that. Okay, the hardest part of the descent, that is the steepest with the most loose rocks, is over. Did do a little rock surfing, as I call it, from time to time. You're moving 6 inches to a foot when you don't want to, but hiking poles help a lot. So it's been kind of eventful in the last hour or so. Had to pull a couple prickly pear needles out of my forearm as I was coming down the trail. There's one really close on the descent and caught me. And I met 2 hikers that were separated from 5 hikers waiting for them to come up the mountain. And they were hoping to get to the cabin. It was already 3 o'clock. One of the guys is moving a little slower than the others, considerably slower. And we discussed the possibility that the sun might set on them. And I asked them if they had any headlamps, and they said they just had one for the group. So I lent them mine and gave them my campground number so they can come and give it back later. But got a chance to be useful. Met some people from Wisconsin. They were doing a little commemorative hike because they did this hike 26 years ago and decided to do it again. Kind of a family outing. Looked like most of them were having fun. The climb was testing some of them, but that should mean I get a knock on the door of the trailer tonight. Returning my headlamp. I've got a good story to tell. Half a mile to go and I can see our trailer. So you can tell if it's a half mile to go, that's a really steep half mile, isn't it?